In this tutorial, we're going to review the different methods for drawing rectangles in AutoCAD together. Stay with me. To draw a rectangle in AutoCAD, we use the rectangle command. Its shortcut is RECT, which are the first three letters. All you need to do is enter RECT and press enter. Once you enter the command, without exception, it asks you to specify the first corner. This is the first corner, and then it asks you to specify the next corner. Here's the next corner, and the rectangle is drawn. But the point is, when you draw a rectangle, it should have dimensions. Now this time, we want the rectangle we draw to have dimensions. So I type RECT and press enter. Once you enter the command, again you need to click the first corner. This is the first corner. Now, to set the dimensions of the rectangle, you just need to enter the dimension subcommand. I enter this subcommand using its shortcut, which is D. Notice that the letter D is capitalized, so I press D and then enter. First, it asks you to specify the length of the rectangle. By length, it means the length along the x-axis. So it says to enter the x value. I enter 500, for example, and press enter. Immediately, it asks you to specify the width, which means the length along the y-axis. I enter 1000. So it's 500 along the x direction and 1000 along the y direction. You see, it looks something like this, right? Now, if the dimensions aren't what you want, for example, if you wanted them to be the other way around, if you want to do that, just enter the dimension subcommand again. So I press D and enter, and this time, when it asks for the length, I enter 1000, enter, and then 500, enter. At the end, you definitely need to click once. Just pressing enter won't finish it. So I click once at the end, and my rectangle is drawn with dimensions of 500 by 1000. Another point is that when you enter the RECT command and press enter and select the first corner, there's also a subcommand called rotation. With rotation, you can draw the same rectangle at an angle. So I press R and enter, and it asks me at what angle you want to draw it. For example, I enter 45, press enter, and now it draws it at a 45-degree angle. Then I enter the dimension subcommand again, meaning D, enter, and again it asks for the length. I enter 500, enter, it asks for the width. I enter 1000, enter, and it draws the rectangle. At the end, there's another click, and it draws a rectangle with dimensions 500 by 1000, but this time at a 45-degree angle. The next point is that you can also draw a rectangle using its area, but you must also provide one of its dimensions along with the area. For example, you tell it to draw a rectangle with an area of 1000, but one of its sides should be 25. This way, you can tell it to do that. So I type RECT and press enter. I specify the corner, and as you can see, it draws it at a 45-degree angle. If you want the angle to be 0 again, you just do R and enter to enter the rotation subcommand. You set the angle to 0 and press enter. Now the angle is straight. Now you enter the area subcommand, which means you type A and press enter. It asks me what area I want, so I enter 1000 and press enter. Now it asks me if I want to specify the length or the width. You have to choose one of the two, either the length or the width. For example, I'll choose the length, which is along the x-axis, so I type L and press enter. Now it asks me what length I want. For example, I enter 100 and press enter. When you enter 100 naturally, if this side is 100, the other side should be 10, right? So 100 by 10 gives you a rectangle with an area of 1000, which it draws for you. I hope this tutorial was helpful for you. This was a complete tutorial on the rectangle command. Let's move on to the next lesson.